fire someone on the job, they're gone. No vote, no access, no second chance. So why are you letting the version of yourself that should have been fired years ago still run your life? Because you never actually fired him. Today's lesson, how to revoke his access for good.
6 months sober, new guy at the mill asks if I want to grab a beer after shift. I tell him I can't. I'm on antibiotics. Antibiotics. I lied to a stranger about being sober, like it's something to be ashamed of. I walked away from that conversation and I realized, getting sober, that was the easy part. The hard part is killing the drunk version of you that's still making your decisions. That lie about antibiotics, that wasn't me talking. That was the old me, the drunk me, the guy who hid bottles in his car door or his basement ceiling. That ghost was still in my head, still protecting his reputation, still voting on my decisions. And the sick part? I didn't even notice he was doing it. I lost 20 years to alcohol, woke up one day and decided I was done. No program, no meetings, just me and the decision to stop destroying everything I touched. 709 days sober now. I thought that was the finish line, but boy was I wrong. Because 6 months in, I'm standing in the parking lot after my shift, disgusted with myself. All that work, all those weekends staying home while everyone else was out, all those cookouts I skipped because I couldn't trust myself yet. And I just lied about antibiotics like some teenager caught sneaking out. That's when I realized I quit drinking, but I never fired the drunk. He was still on payroll, still in meetings, still casting votes. And every time I made myself small, every time I apologized for existing, every time I deflated a compliment, that was him, keeping me exactly where he wanted me. Safe, quiet, and manageable. Probably don't even notice when he's talking. When your kids ask you to play and you say, maybe later, whose voice is that? When your wife suggests something new, you say we can't afford it, without even checking. Whose fear is that? When opportunity knocks, and you pretend you're not home, who's making that decision? How many times a day are you letting your worst self vote? The next morning, I tried something that felt insane. I stood in my bathroom before my shift, I looked in the mirror and I said out loud, "You're fired, you don't get a vote anymore." I was talking to him, the drunk, the liar, the guy who made excuses for everything. I felt like an idiot for about 3 seconds. Then I felt something I hadn't felt in 6 months. Power. That same day, new guy asked me about that beer again. This time I said, I'm sober 6 months, building something better. No apology, no antibiotics, no shame. He just nodded. All that fear, all that hiding, it was all my past self trying to stay alive. But his survival isn't worth my future. That moment right there, that's your past self dying in real time, and it feels better than any drink ever did. Month 2, old drinking buddy shows up at my house, 10 p.m., 6-pack in hand. Says he misses the old times. I didn't let him in. Past me would have caved, just to avoid the confrontation. Knew me? I told him I missed those times too, but I'm not going back to visit. He can keep his memories. I'm making new ones. Here's what nobody tells you. He doesn't go quietly. For weeks, every time I did something different, I could hear him screaming. They're gonna laugh at you. You're not that guy. Who do you think you are? But you know what's funny? The louder he screamed, the more I knew I was doing something right. You know what's dangerous about this trail? It's comfortable. It's paved, flat, safe. Just like your old patterns. 3.7 mile loop. I could walk this circle forever and never get anywhere new. Just like you've been doing. Same excuses, same voice telling you, this is just who guys like you are. That's not who you are. That's who you were. And dead men don't get voting rights. Look at these leaves. They had to die for this tree to survive winter. That's not weakness, that's strategy. But if this tree held on to dead leaves because it was comfortable or because that's who it was, it would die. And here's the thing about dead leaves. They don't fall off on their own when they decide to change. You have to shake the tree. You have to make it uncomfortable for them to stay. That's what firing your past self does. It shakes the tree. Your past self is gonna fight back. He'll scream that you're being fake, that everyone sees through you, that you'll fail and prove him right. He'll remind you every time you tried and quit, every promise you broke, and every person you let down. But let him scream. He's fired. He doesn't work here anymore. 3 months after I revoked his voting rights, showing up early to work instead of barely making it, recording videos without deleting them 10 times first, having conversations I used to run from. You know what the craziest part is? The new me had more peace in 709 days than the old me had in 20 years, because I'm not carrying him anymore. I'm not defending him. I'm not making him excuses. He's gone, and it's lighter without him. Here's what you're gonna do, and I already know 90% of you won't, because your past self is whispering, "This is stupid." But tomorrow morning, before work, before coffee, before you can talk yourself out of it, you're gonna look in the mirror and fire your past self out loud. You don't get a vote anymore, you're fired. That's it. One sentence. Say it like you're firing someone who's been stealing from you, because he has been. He's been stealing your future. You're gonna feel like a fraud. That's not you feeling like a fraud. That's him. That's him dying. Then you're going to make one decision he would hate. Call someone you've been avoiding, delete something, sign up for something, start something. One decision he doesn't get to vote on. Maybe it's finally texting your sponsor. Maybe it's telling your wife the truth about something. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been thinking about for years. Whatever it is, do it before he can talk you out of it. When you fire him tomorrow morning, drop fired in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because firing him once isn't enough. You gotta keep him out. The version of you that you're becoming, he's tired of asking permission from a ghost. That drunk guy, that liar who made excuses, he's not in this picture. He doesn't get to touch this life I'm building. My kid doesn't get to know that version of his dad, and they never will, because I fired him. And every day he tries to show up to work, I fire him again. Some mornings, I still hear him trying to get back in, telling me I'm one bad day away from becoming him again. But you know what I've learned? He only has as much power as I give him. And I stopped giving him power the day I looked in the mirror and said, "You're fired." Next week, I'm going to tell you why being the guy who came to work hungover became my greatest advantage. How my worst identity became my fuel. That's only useful if you fire your past self first. Because the person you're becoming, the father, the husband, the brother you're supposed to be, he's waiting for you to stop asking permission from someone who no longer exists. Your past doesn't define you. It's proof you can survive anything. Now stop surviving and start becoming, one tenacious tendency at a time.